Good afternoon, everyone. So happy to see so many out. And some of you hung around for a long time after lunch, so I appreciate that. So we're going to get started. The class that we're doing today, obviously, is Natural Remedies. It's a cold and flu class because, as you know, cold and flu season is here. This is a class that we're just going to talk a little bit about the basics of cold and flu, and also just share some remedies that our family has used for many years, and they've worked for us. And so we want to bring that to you this afternoon. But before that, as always, I always like to start with a quiz. So let's begin with a quiz and test your knowledge of the cold and flu, see how much you guys know. First question, when does flu season begin and end? Does anybody know? What months? October?
March.
October to March.
October to March.
Anybody else?
How many would agree with Danella? October to March. Okay, we have a couple. September to this
March.
Is not the hurricane season. This is flu season, which they might go hand in hand. I don't know that.
I don't know.
For those of us in Florida, we're not sure. Okay, October to actually May.
May.
So all the way into May, that's considered cold and flu season. Mm-hmm. All right. So did anybody get that right? I don't think anybody did. Okay. There is a prize. That's why we're keeping track. There's a prize.
Answers the most questions correctly.
And this is an honor system, so we just hope you're being honest here. Okay,
our second question. Are colds and flu due to virus or bacteria?
I'm gonna ask you a question about this one. Okay, let's start with the flu. Let's just get specific. Are flus due to bacteria or viral infections? Who says bacteria? Who says from a virus? Okay. All right. The correct answer is a virus. Now here's a trick question. Why is it that so many people, once they get a cold or flu, the first thing they do is go get what? Antibiotics.
Very true.
Why is that? Dr. Guthrie, I know I'm putting you on the spot here. I didn't put that on your little piece of paper.
We're going to put him on the spot many times throughout the presentation, just warning.
Do antibiotics actually help viruses at all? And why do people go get antibiotics if they've got the flu?
Viruses are what causes the flu. But a lot of people think that they need to visit a doctor to get that taken care of, and they'll ask for an antibiotic. And antibiotics don't help the flu. What was that? I need to cough a little louder. I said the antibiotics don't help viruses. Virus lives inside the cell. Bacteria are another cell outside. So an antibiotic works against the bacteria, but it doesn't work against the viruses. Now, to be fair, when you have a respiratory, like when it's down in your lungs, I've read up to 80% of people with a viral infection will have a secondary bacterial infection. You can't hear? Does she need hearing aids, or?
Can you turn up his mic a little bit, maybe?
Okay, I apologize. I'll try to swallow it. Okay. About 80% of the time, I'm told, people who have a viral infection can have a secondary bacterial infection.
Does the flu or does the virus cause that secondary infection?
Well, it causes an environment of inflammation, and it kind of slows the immune system down a little bit because the body's working on these viruses which are inside the body cells. So the body gets a little bit weak, and apparently the bacteria will then overgrow. Most of the time we can manage that, but occasionally I'll see patients as a doctor who I recognize it started as a virus, but they ended up with a secondary bacterial infection.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. So if you came just to hear that was worth it, right? So basically the idea is you don't have to quickly just run and go get antibiotics once you're feeling a little bit sick.
No,
if it gets into your lungs and it's a serious infection, then that's where it sounds like that makes sense. Okay. Question number 3.
Who said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure?
Greek philosopher.
Does
I think
anybody
that
know?
was let thy food be thy medicine thy food. Okay, yes, friends. Benjamin
Yes.
Franklin. Who
Very
else knew that?
good.
Who else knew that?
Woo.
Couple
Well, you
of
had an answer.
American history.
Okay, so far we only have one person that has answered.
Okay,
Oh, you did? Okay.
Len. Yes. Well,
Yes.
do you know what he was actually talking about in preventing when he said that? Benjamin Franklin was one of his early professions, or he volunteered to do this. In Boston, he was a volunteer what? Firefighter.
Firefighter.
Okay. So he was talking about preventing fires. We use this. It's obviously kind of synonymous with getting sick as well, but it's the same thing. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Okay, let's keep moving along here. We've got a lot to.
Okay.
All right.
The fourth. What is the average body temperature? Donella, you should know this.
98.6.
Who said it?
We had a couple.
Okay.
98.6. Okay, good. All right, here we go. Another question here.
Okay. What percentage of Americans get the flu each year? Is it A, 1%, B, 11%, or C, 31%?
C, we have C over here, 31%. Everyone's saying C. So does anyone
they're
deserve the
saying-
prize today? B?
My
Okay.
youth are so smart.
Yes.
Yes, it's B.
B, only 11%. All right.
It is B.
All right, last question.
True or false, the flu virus can live on surfaces 2 to 8 hours.
Is that true? It's true.
It is
Okay.
true. Did
All right.
anybody get, well, how many questions are there?
There's about six of them.
Anybody get
Anyone
five
get all
right?
6?
5 right?
Gail.
Gail? Okay, Gail, you get the prize.
Gail, here's a prize for you.
No.
Okay, good. So
RJ
that was.
says he was feeding her the answers.
I know the Benjamin Franklin one. All right. Okay, so let's get started with the actual class here.
Yes. So we're going to get started, and we're going to talk about 2 components, right? The 2 arms here. One is prevention, and the other one will be treatment, but they're both, what do you call it?
Tied into the immune
Tied
system.
in, yes, thank you, into the immune system.
Yeah, so basically the idea is that, with disease, there's basically 2 ways to handle disease. You can try to prevent it in the first place and do all you can to prevent it. That's really the better option, okay? And so we're going to talk about ways to prevent it. And then there's other things to do if you get it, and that's the actual treatment. So there's basically 2 arms of that, and it's all tied into your immune system, making sure your immune system is operating correctly. Because if your immune system works well, then the disease, even if you get it, it's not going to be as severe or as long.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so we have a quick video that we're going to show you on the immune system. This is about a 4-minute video. And this basically just gives you a brief introduction. I'm sure we've all heard about the immune system, but this gives you a brief introduction about the immune system. So if you guys can tee that up.
A mosquito lands on your arm, injects its chemicals into your skin, and begins to feed. You wouldn't even know it was there if not for the red lump that appears, accompanied by a telltale itch. It's a nuisance, but that bump is an important signal that you're protected by your immune system, your body's major safeguard against infection, illness, and disease. This system is a vast network of cells, tissues, and organs that coordinate your body's defenses against any threats to your health. Without it, you'd be exposed to billions of bacteria, viruses, and toxins that could make something as minor as a paper cut or a seasonal cold fatal. The immune system relies on millions of defensive white blood cells, also known as leukocytes, that originate in our bone marrow. These cells migrate into the bloodstream and the lymphatic system, a network of vessels which helps clear bodily toxins and waste. Our bodies are teeming with leukocytes. There are between 4,000 and 11,000 in every microliter of blood. As they move around, leukocytes work like security personnel, constantly screening the blood, tissues, and organs for suspicious signs. This system mainly relies on cues called antigens. These molecular traces on the surface of pathogens and other foreign substances betray the presence of invaders. As soon as the leukocytes detect them, it takes only minutes for the body's protective immune response to kick in. Threats to our bodies are hugely variable, so the immune response has to be equally adaptable. That means relying on many different types of leukocytes to tackle threats in different ways. Despite this diversity, we classify leukocytes in two main cellular groups, which coordinate a two-pronged attack. First, phagocytes trigger the immune response by sending macrophages and dendritic cells into the blood. As these circulate, they destroy any foreign cells they encounter, simply by consuming them. That allows phagocytes to identify the antigen on the invaders they just ingested and transmit this information to the second major cell group orchestrating the defense, the lymphocytes. A group of lymphocyte cells called T cells go in search of infected body cells and swiftly kill them off. Meanwhile, B cells and helper T cells use the information gathered from the unique antigens to start producing special proteins called antibodies. This is the pièce de résistance. Each antigen has a unique matching antibody that can latch onto it like a lock and key and destroy the invading cells. B cells can produce millions of these, which then cycle through the body and attack the invaders until the worst of the threat is neutralized. While all of this is going on, familiar symptoms like high temperatures and swelling are actually processes designed to aid the immune response. A warmer body makes it harder for bacteria and viruses to reproduce and spread because they're temperature sensitive. And when body cells are damaged, they release chemicals that make fluid leak into the surrounding tissues, causing swelling. That also attracts phagocytes, which consume the invaders and the damaged cells. Usually, an immune response will eradicate a threat within a few days. It won't always stop you from getting ill, but that's not its purpose. Its actual job is to stop a threat from escalating to dangerous levels inside your body. And through constant surveillance over time, the immune system provides another benefit. It helps us develop long-term immunity. When B and T cells identify antigens, they can use that information to recognize invaders in the future. So when a threat revisits, the cells can swiftly deploy the right antibodies to tackle it before it affects any more cells. That's how you can develop immunity to certain diseases, like chickenpox. It doesn't always work so well. Some people have autoimmune diseases, which trick the immune system into attacking the body's own perfectly healthy cells. No one knows exactly what causes them, but these disorders sabotage the immune system to varying degrees and underlie problems like arthritis, type 1 diabetes, and multiple sclerosis. For most individuals, however, a healthy immune system will successfully fight off an estimated 300 colds and innumerable other potential infections over the course of a lifetime. Without it, those threats would escalate into something far more dangerous. So the next time you catch a cold or scratch a mosquito bite, think of the immune system. We owe it our lives. TED Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our work, please consider supporting it on
that our immune system is an amazing system, right? God created our bodies. The Bible says that we are wonderfully made, correct? And so we want to be able to take care of this body. And so I have a question for you guys. When do soldiers prepare for war? Do they prepare for war right before war, or do they normally prepare for war before, way before? Yes. They're constantly working, training, right? And so we want to do the same thing, right? We want to prepare before we catch a cold or before we catch the flu. So in our home, I'm sure most of you have a first aid kit, right? That means you've prepared ahead of time in case you get a wound. You're able to go to your first aid kit, right? And slap on a Band-Aid. So we want to do the same for the cold and flu. At our house, we have it's somewhere here, I don't know where. I think it's down on the floor there. But we have a cold and flu container that we replenish every year, and we put things in there just to get us prepared for the cold and flu season. Because let's face it, when you get the cold or a flu, you feel miserable. You don't even want to get in your car and drive to Publix or CVS and go grab the things you need, right? So you want to be prepared ahead of time if you can. So now we're going to talk about the most effective prevention. And what do you think that is? I'm sure you've heard this. This is the number one thing. Hand washing. So we're just going to quickly review some of these things because I'm sure you all know, but I have to talk about it. Washing your hands. How many minutes are they saying that we should wash our hands? Yes. How many? 20? Yes, about 20 seconds, right? They say you can sing the happy birthday song. That's around 20 seconds. If you find another song that's 20 seconds, by all means, go and sing it. But we want to wash our hands. We want to make sure that we are cleaning surfaces, as we saw in the quiz. How many hours does the flu virus usually stay on hard surfaces? 2 to 8, yes. So you want to wipe down hard surfaces such as doorknobs, your remote control, things that you're constantly touching around. You also, when I was talking about hand washing, I forgot to mention, when you're right before you eat is a good time to wash your hands, right? When you've been outside outside at any stores, touching things, that's another. If you lick your fingers while you're eating, right, because you've got some goodies on your fingers, make sure you wash your hands because you forget and then you start touching things, and then that's how viruses, right, duplicate and so forth, and we get other people sick. So be mindful of that. Also coughing. So for years, right, people would cough and they would say, cover your mouth, right? We would cough like this. What's the new way of coughing? Elbow. Good job. So cough on your elbow, not on your hand. Many times we see this and then they go and shake your hand right after and you're done. All right, so we talked about the basic prevention methods. Now we're going to talk about ways to strengthen as well as preventing, because they go hand in hand.
All right, so basically we're going to come up with a little chart here of ways that you can strengthen your immune system and things that weaken your immune system. And if you know this is like half the battle here, because that's what it's all about. If you can just get your immune system to run at its peak performance, you'll be able to fight a lot of these things off. And like we said, even if you get it, it's not going to last as long, it won't be as severe. So the first thing we're going to talk about is everyone's favorite topic, at least me and Ansel's favorite topic, is food. All right, so what are some foods that we can consume that will strengthen or weaken our immune system? All right, any ideas? Fruits and veggies, okay, good. Garlic, all right, now what a coincidence. That is the first on our list on this chart, okay? We're gonna talk about garlic specifically in the next slide, but these are some of the top immune building, immune strengthening foods.
Yes, so we have garlic and onion, they're cousins, and then we have ginger, turmeric, anti-inflammatory. So then we're moving on to vitamin C, kiwis. Do you know that kiwis are higher in vitamin C than oranges? I know we live in the orange state here, Florida, but kiwis actually have more vitamin C, so grab a kiwi next time. Or durian, if you can stand the potent smell. I know I've got some durian fans in here, so I had to put it in there. If you can stand the smell and your pocket is loaded, you can buy some durian. Actually, a cup of the pulp of durian has 80% of the daily value for vitamin C. So that's pretty high there. Berries, of course, loaded with antioxidants. Peppers has a lot of vitamin C, the sweet peppers. My kids eat those just raw, loaded with vitamin C. And then fall season is here, right? So all your beta-carotene vegetables, such as sweet potato, carrots, pumpkins, those are really good. It turns into vitamin, I think beta-carotene turns it to vitamin A, and so it helps your immune system. And then mushrooms. Mushrooms are loaded with vitamin D.
All right, so let's talk about garlic. How many of you guys like garlic? Do you like garlic? Okay.
Oh, what's the
All right, good.
You don't like garlic, sorry.
So
I've never met anyone that
there
doesn't
was a
like garlic.
time where I ate so much garlic.
This is true. This is bad.
This is true. This is before
This
I got
is
married.
really bad.
I ate so much garlic that people could smell me. Like I went into, I went
tell
to the
the whole
operating
story.
room.
Tell
I
the whole
worked in
story.
surgery. And so I got into this weird thing where I would eat my dinner for breakfast. And I would eat a lot of garlic for breakfast. And so I'd go into the operating room, and I had my nurse. So I was a surgical tech that sets up the equipment. Then you have your circulating nurse, and she could smell the garlic on me. We both had on masks, and she could still smell the garlic. And that was my clue to take it easy on garlic. But I was very healthy at that time. I mean,
Okay.
my blood pressure was probably low, never got sick. But garlic is literally probably the best thing you can consume as far as a food item that will boost your immune system, even though it's rough. Yes, Dr. Phil?
Is that because it keeps everybody away?
Yes, and mosquitoes don't like it either.
It naturally keeps people 6 feet apart, right? So that's good.
That's perfect, yes.
But if you can somehow stand it, it's not only good for your immune system, but it's good for your blood pressure as well. Mm-hmm. All right, so now let's talk about, that's the number one thing to strengthen your immune system. Let's talk about the number one thing to bring down your immune system. What do you think that is?
We've got
Sugar.
good students here.
Okay, so it is sugar
Yes.
and desserts. Not only that, I mean, that's the worst, which we'll talk about here in a second, but it's also all the other junk food, okay? All the other stuff you drive by and see that you can get in 2 minutes, just keep driving by that, because all that weakens your immune system. All the deep fried stuff, the highly processed stuff, all of that, it literally weakens your immune system. It's amazing. All right, so let's talk about, does anybody have a sweet tooth here? Who likes sweet treats? Okay, I do. She doesn't.
I'm a salty person.
But
He's
yeah,
the
she would
sweet.
rather have salt. I'd rather have sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Salty.
we
Yes.
mix.
Sweet and sour. Hey, that's fine.
Okay, so this is, now we're entering the season of what?
Sugar.
The season of sugar, right? This
You guys
is,
think a coincidence? Flu season is October, begins in October, and in October is when you start seeing all the candy, right? For Halloween, and then people are bringing things for fall, and they're bringing cookies at work, right? So lots of sugar.
all right, so PSL. Who knows what PSL stands for? Oh, I see some people nodding. Pumpkin spice latte. Every soccer mom in America is addicted to this, okay? Every morning they go get their PSL and drive the kids to work. Do you know how many grams of sugar they're getting in this one drink?
Can anybody guess?
50 grams of sugar in this one drink.
Yes.
Okay, do you know how many teaspoons are in 50 grams of sugar? 10 teaspoons.
Yeah.
So think about that. Every morning, if you stop by Starbucks and get one of these, you're getting 10 teaspoons just in one sitting, in one drink. Do you
By
know?
the end of the day, you probably have consumed way more, right? 'Cause-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how many teaspoons of sugar
Someone's asking.
are in a 12-ounce Coke? Okay,
Yeah.
12-ounce Coke. There's only 7
It's actually less
teaspoons
than the
of sugar.
pumpkin latte.
There's only 39 grams of sugar in a can of Coke versus a PSL from Starbucks?
Not that
Okay.
we're saying for you to choose the Coke,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
the pumpkin latte, we're just comparing here, but yeah.
So sugar is literally the thing that will bring down your immune system, probably more than any other food item. I wanted Dr. Guthrie to mention just a little bit about sugar and its effect on your immune system, because if you just avoid this one thing, if you uptake a little bit of garlic and downtake your sugar, that alone might be the only thing you need to hear today, and it might help your immune system that much where you're able to fight off some of these diseases. Yes, Dr. Guthrie, tell us about sugar a little bit.
You may have heard in the past, there's been a lot said about how sugar suppresses the white cells, and that study came out of Loma Linda back in the 1970s. Unfortunately, it hasn't been able to be duplicated. When they tried it, it doesn't seem to work. So we're not 100% sure of the mechanism, but this is what I think it is. When you take a lot of sugar in your bloodstream, it decreases your blood flow because the red blood cells tend to stick together, number one. Number two, all that sugar in the endothelium, or the lining of the blood vessels, tends to increase inflammation. And that inflammation, of course, when there's too much of it, it ends up feeding the infection. So, yeah, a good idea to keep that sugar on the lower side, or better yet, get it in the package that God made it in.
Amen. Yes.
He didn't put it in the pumpkin like that.
Oh, man.
Right. It's in the apple, not necessarily the apple pie. All right, so let's go on to the next thing. Okay, so that's foods. And by the way, we're going to open this up at the end. So if you have some questions and comments, we'll allow that at the end. So if you have your food items that are your go-to, then feel free to mention that as well as we wrap up. All right, the second thing on the list is herbs and supplements. What are some herbs and supplements that we can take that boost your immune system? Okay, omegas, zinc, okay. All right, let's see what we have up there. Oh, I heard echinacea. We don't have echinacea up here.
But echinacea is still good. Now remember, there's a lot more herbs that you can take. We're just kind of narrowing it down here, but I'm sure a lot of you use your own natural remedies and your own herbs, and that's fine. We're just sticking to one of the most popular and common ones. So we have elderberry. You can consume that in a syrup, or they have it in capsules. My husband travels a lot, so obviously he can't take syrup with him, so I send him with the elderberry capsules. The elderberry is known to shorten the duration of a cold or flu, so that's very good. Oregano oil, I think it's next to garlic. I would say it's the next powerhouse, in my opinion. It's got the same 4 anti that the garlic has. So the antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and I'm missing one, antioxidant. Yeah, there we go. And then quercetin, zinc, NAC. So zinc needs quercetin. It acts as a transporter to go into the middle of your cells to help your immune system.
And vitamin D, you've probably heard a lot about vitamin D lately, especially during the COVID period. Dr. Guthrie, can you tell us a little bit about vitamin D? How do we get it? And I think most of us are low in vitamin D, if that's correct. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I'm sure some of us are taking vitamin D
Yes.
just because we've heard it's beneficial. So as we look out over the audience, these people may have lots of vitamin D. So let's just
Assume.
support them in that, yes. So vitamin D tends to help fight infections, viral infections. So I ran across a study done in Japan several years ago where they gave children a vitamin D supplement, about 1,100 IUs a day, or a placebo at the beginning of flu season. And then they wanted to see how many kids actually got sick. And those that got the vitamin D had a significant reduction in the amount of flu that they got. So compared to those that got placebo. So the vitamin D has some sort of protective effect. Now, isn't it odd that the flu season tends to happen when the sun, there's not so much of it. Now, I know in Florida that's not an issue, but in Japan it certainly would be. So the vitamin D tends to protect. There was a surprise thing that they found that they weren't expecting, and there was a huge drop, an 80% drop in visits to the emergency room in kids for asthma when they got the vitamin D. Of course, they didn't get the infection, so it didn't make their asthma worse, so they didn't show up. But that was a good side effect that had not just an effect on people's health, but on the cost of medicine, because emergency rooms are quite expensive.
Yeah.
Wow.
So people who have higher vitamin D levels tend to be able to fight off viruses, and it's kind of a part of the innate immune system, so it works a little stronger. My brother sent me a study about COVID. They did it in the Kaiser Permanente system in California and over on the West Coast, maybe around here. But they looked at the, vitamin D levels and who got COVID, and in their study, in their observational study, those who had a level of 50 nanograms per cc or higher didn't seem to get COVID at all. And the lower the vitamin D level, the more likely to get that particular virus.
Wow. And the best way to get that is by spending some time in the sun?
Well, you can
supplements.
certainly spend time in the sun, sure. That's hard to do when we work, and when we work indoors. If you're in the OR, I guess there's probably not a lot of sun in there. So it's okay to take a supplement and take a vitamin D supplement. Many people, in my mind, are not taking enough. They'll take 1,000 or 2,000 international units, but I would push that up to 4,000 or 5,000 international units to really get the higher levels per day.
Per day.
Generally taken with a meal because it's absorbed better if there's a little bit of fat with it. It is a fat absorbable, not really a vitamin, but hormone. Okay.
Okay.
We're getting deeper than we should.
We want to keep it basic.
Good. Bottom line, it's okay to take a vitamin D supplement.
Yes.
It's amazing what it does to your immune system.
I think it would be an excellent thing to do, yes.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you. All right. So let's keep moving along. That's herbs and supplements. So now let's talk about therapies you can do in your life to cause your immune system to strengthen. What are some therapies? Well, two of our favorites are hydrotherapy and our betadine nasal rinse and gargle. Okay, so if you guys are not familiar with this, I'm sure as good SDAs that you are, you know about hydrotherapy. Okay, we'll talk about hydrotherapy in a second here. I want to talk about this thing that my wife forced me to start doing recently that I feel like really works. And now I do it all the time.
Did you say force?
Yeah, so every time I'd come in from a trip, I'd try to give him a hug and try to say, hey, I miss you. And she'd like, go upstairs, get the nasal rinse, spray the
Rinse
stuff
out your
in your
nose.
nose, and gargle. Okay, so I know, it's not that bad, friends. So basically what I do now.
Some people hate to put anything up their nose.
Yeah, I
know.
see him wincing back there. Okay, so you basically take betadine or whatever it is. Betadine's a name brand, but it's basically the povidone iodine. And I take saline, and I put some saline in here.
About 3/4.
You can put water, but saline is better on your tissue. So I'll do about a 4-to-1. So I'll put 4 parts of saline, 1 part of the betadine. And I take this when I travel as well. In fact, we all just went to California. My wife got every single one of us one of these things in our little toiletry bags. Okay, so my boys had to do the same exact thing. And so basically, once you land or you get wherever you're at for the evening, you give a couple squirts. It goes up your nose a little bit on both sides. And if it's burning, then I would say lower the amount of betadine and increase the saline. And then we also will take a little bit of this and put some water in a cup and just put a few drops and then just gargle with that, okay? I've been doing that over the last few months. I've been traveling like crazy, waking up at 3 a.m. and not getting good rest. I should have gotten sick multiple times. My coworker that I just spent some time with in California, she had COVID. She was coughing all around us. And we had 5 people at our job that got COVID. I didn't get anything. I think it wasn't because I was sleeping well or eating well. I personally think because I was doing this every day, and that's what really helped, because it doesn't allow the virus to start building up in your system, right?
The viruses start all up here,
Yeah, they start in your nose and they'll work their way back down into your respiratory system. If you kind of get it out of there before it's actually making its way in, I feel like that's what's helped me quite a bit. So I actually now, I appreciate the fact that you did force us initially, but now I do it voluntarily.
We actually started this back during COVID, right, Zoe? She does it
Yeah,
as
Zoe
well.
does the same thing. So if you're not doing that as far as a preventive, I would really recommend that. It's very
easy and
simple,
it's cheap.
easy to do.
They actually sell them already made with saline and all that, but you're going to spend about $25 for a tiny bottle when you could just do it at home. That was $5, and it'll last you a long
Yeah, you can make it
time.
yourself.
So a lot cheaper ways of doing
Okay,
it.
let's talk a little bit about, Dr. Guthrie, I'm going to bring you up one more time. Let's talk about the science of hydrotherapy, okay? Because that's important to understand. Some of you know what hydrotherapy is, but you don't really know the science behind it. We just talked about the immune system and how powerful it is. God designed it into our bodies. So hydrotherapy is a great way to kind of get that immune system going. Dr. Guthrie, can you talk a little bit about what happens when we do this hot and cold contrast?
The immune system is made up of a whole bunch of chemical reactions, as you heard about, right? Little macrophages coming in and chewing and digesting and all the things that happen, and it's all biochemistry. God designed it that way. And the higher the temperature, the faster the chemical reactions. You probably learned this in high school chemistry. And so when you get sick, your body says, let's make a fever. And so your temperature starts to go up and you start to feel cold. Well, it's okay for your temperature to go up. A lot of us try to push it back down. I'm one of those people that recognizes that it's beneficial, so rather than taking a Tylenol to bring it down, I hop in the hot shower to get it up. It feels better, and it helps my body fight the infection too. Now, you don't want your temperature to go over about 104, 105, because then you start to fry brain cells, and you need those. So, temperature up to 103 or so, that's good. If it starts to go higher than that, you probably better try to avoid that. So all those chemical reactions are happening faster. Now, you've got an infection starting out, running around your body, and you learned about all those white cells. So at any one time, the average person has half their white blood cells floating in the blood and the others kind of stuck on the walls of the blood vessels waiting for something to happen. So if you get yourself hot, like a sauna or a hot shower, and then you turn on the cold water, yeah, that's it, okay.
That's the only time Adventists can dance is when they've got the cold shower, right?
But when that cold water hits, it does something called demarginalization. That is, the white cells that are stuck on the walls all come off. So now they're all in the middle and running around in the blood, so you've increased your white count, artificially if you will, but reasonably so. And they get, whenever there's an infection, the blood vessels get sticky. And where do you think the white cells are going to land? Where it's sticky. So it's like throwing a bunch of white cells out saying, go get it, and a lot more of them will land where you want it to, that is, where the infection is. So a good hot shower and then follow with cold. You can go back to the hot, that's fine. You don't have to stay in the cold. And it's different than jumping in an icy river. Even tap water. One of my residents went home to Canada, and he's been doing a lot of cold showers to help with exercise and fitness and all that stuff, because it helps to build muscles as well. But he says the tap water in Canada is a lot colder than it is here. So they think this stuff here was pretty warm.
Warm? Oh.
Yeah, even our coldest water here, they think is warm.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right, well, thank you. So Ansel is going to demonstrate, well, not just yet, but he will demonstrate. So my wife would strongly encourage us to do hot and cold showers, and so the boys have kind of grown up with that. So he's going to demonstrate what he's done in the past, and so we'll do that a little bit later on. All right, so that is some of the therapies that we've done. All right, so let's talk about some lifestyle choices. And these are, again, just choices. Sleep and exercise. Again, some of two of the biggest things you can do to increase your immune system is getting enough sleep, right? Or a lack of sleep, which will then weaken your immune system. The other thing is stress management and your prayer life versus high stress. High stress will also weaken your immune system. Did you want to mention anything?
No, I just wanted to say that when we're sleeping, right, I think as adults are supposed to consume, is it 7 to 9 hours of sleep? And so that's when your body restores itself. So it's very important that we get our good sleep.
Yeah, so basically there's been lots of different studies on how sleep affects your immune system and exercise as well. I didn't realize exercise was so important for your immune system, but I think you had something where after you're done exercising.
Yes, after you're done exercising, 3 hours after you're done exercising, your immune cells are still moving around your body looking for invaders. So exercise is definitely a good thing. And also Mayo Clinic says that, I guess they have some guidelines to exercise, because that's something we've always wondered about. Like when we're feeling like we might be coming down with something, should we exercise? Should they work out? And so Mayo Clinic says that if you have symptoms above your neck, such as runny nose or anything like that, itchy, watery eyes, you can definitely still exercise. But if it's from your neck down, stomach, respiratory issue, you should probably not exercise until you feel better. So I think those are some good guidelines from Mayo Clinic that I read.
And as we talk about sleep and stress management, I always think about Jesus. Sometimes I have a hard time sleeping. And I always think about this story where Jesus was in probably the most stressful position you can be in as a human, is about to be drowned at sea. And you had big fishermen that were terrified. And Jesus, what was Jesus doing? He's just sleeping. So that's stress management and sleep in one shot. And so here's a couple promises. Jesus said to the waves, "Peace, be still." He speaks that into our hearts. Jesus says that my peace, the peace I leave you, is my peace I give unto you. So that same peace that he had in the boat, you can have as well. And then that last one there, he giveth his beloved sleep. So just remind yourself some of those promises if you're having problems with sleep and stress management. All right, so now let's talk about the treatment arm. So we've talked about the prevention side. Let's talk about now if you catch something, what do you actually do about it? What are some of the treatments that we use?
Well, hopefully by then your immune system is pretty strong. So hopefully your symptoms or your virus will not linger too long. But as we mentioned earlier, hydrotherapy is one of the first to-go treatments in our home. So there's different hydrotherapy. Hydrotherapy just means water therapy, and there's different water therapies that we can do. First one is a contrast shower, as we see up there. So that one is basically you get in the shower and you turn the water as hot as you can for 3 minutes or so, 2 to 3 minutes, and then you turn it to cold right away, as cold as you can take it. And you do this about 3 times, okay, 3 intervals of that. And the last one should be the coldest you can possibly take it, okay? This is, like my husband said, the only time Adventists can dance, right? You want to dance. And you want to be moving. And you're only doing that for 30 seconds. So the hot for 2 to 3 minutes, 30 seconds of cold. You can drop it to 20 seconds. I'm sure that would be fine. But you want to be moving. And then what you want to do is get out, obviously, and you want to rest, okay? And drink a glass of water, because now your blood is circulating. And so you probably are going to start to sweat. That just happens. But you feel so relaxed and so much better. I guarantee you will. At first, I know it sounds kind of a torturous activity to do, but trust me, it works wonders. And then we do foot bath, and Ansel can demonstrate that, or he can talk about it a little bit, because he's our foot bath guy at our house. He tends to do this when he gets a cold, because for some reason he always gets a head cold, or it goes to his head and he suffers from headaches whenever he gets a cold. So this alleviates some of the head pressure and headache. So there's the...
Yeah, so this is what we usually use. You can either grab something like this or a bucket, and like she said, usually whenever I get a cold, for some reason it goes to my head. I have like a headache or something like that. So you can just grab like a bucket that you have in your garage or anything like that. You want to fill it up with super hot water. Obviously not super hot where you're going to like burn yourself or give yourself like a 3rd-degree burn. But you want it to be really hot. So you'll stick your feet in there. And then you maybe want to grab something a little bit cold for your head. I cannot really explain to you the scientific ramifications of this, but I just know it works. Every time I get a headache, I do this, and like I sit in there for maybe 30 minutes or so, 30 to 40 minutes, just kind of rest in there, and it works wonders for me, and it works every time for me. So I highly encourage you guys, if you ever have a headache, to try this out.
And Ansel, what do you put on your head or neck.
Yeah, you put like a cold, I guess anything cold, you
Rag.
can put like a cold ice pack or like a rag or something like that. And you might want to grab a towel because sometimes it can get messy with a big bucket of water on the ground. But
Yes.
I encourage you guys to try that out.
Correct. So
Thank
we'll
you.
have a handout for that as you leave, and it'll explain exactly the whole process and how you can do that. But that's basically it, what he just mentioned.
Yeah, so the idea of hydrotherapy is that hot water is a vasodilator. That opens up your vessels and makes them kind of big and wide. They kind of relax a little bit. And then the cold water is a vasoconstrictor. So basically what you're doing is you're causing like a pump, right? And that blood is just circulating through that system, and those white blood cells are moving quickly. And you're kind of hacking your immune system to a certain degree and allowing those white blood cells to proliferate. And so with the foot bath, with a headache, you got a lot of blood that's kind of pulled up there. If you put your feet in the hot water, it vasodilates and it starts to pull some of that blood that may be up and giving that head cold. You put some cold packs, that's going to push some of the blood out of there as well. And so that's what hydrotherapy is. It's just kind of hacking your immune system
And
in
the
a good
same-
way.
Yeah, the same thing. You want to rest after you've done it for 30 to 60 minutes. Drink a glass of water. And it's also wonderful for migraines as well, the hot foot bath. It works really well for that. So next is the steam inhalations, and we have that here. I'll move around here. And so there's different ways you could do it. We actually in our home have this little gadget here that we like a lot because you can put water inside here. I don't know if any of you have this gadget at home, but you put water in there and it just boils it for you. You turn it on, it boils it for you for about 5 minutes, and then you stick your... What we do is we put eucalyptus oil. Eucalyptus is very therapeutic. It opens up your bronchioles. And so we put eucalyptus oil, or we even put oregano oil. Remember, it's an antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral. So we put like 2 to 3, it's strong, of the oregano oil there, especially if you have like a chest cold. And then you put your nose there, and you want to breathe in, breathe out for 5 minutes, and that's your steam inhalation there. We also have used this, which is a nebulizer. We use this too. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way, which works just as well. Literally just a pot, right? Put some water, put it on the stove, grab a towel, put it over you. You can put some eucalyptus leaves in there, or you can put eucalyptus oil as well into the pot and just breathe that in. Do 5 to 15-minute treatments. And you can do that 2 to 3 times a day if your chest feels like it's really congested, and that will just help break all that up. And one of the things my husband does after we do a steam inhalation treatment is, and we got this from a friend of ours who's a respiratory nurse, and he'll just like pound on the back of our,
Yeah, the back
The back.
back of your,
Yeah.
I guess your back, where your
just
lungs are at.
to get things moving. And that's pretty much it for the steam inhalations, unless I'm
Would you like to talk about your delicious beverage on the table
Okay.
over there? Because I think we're pretty much done here.
Okay, so the last thing I have for you is we also do this, it's called a flu bomb. Flu bomb? Yeah, and you'll get the recipe for that. But basically what we do is we mince some garlic, we mince some ginger in there, some lemon juice, and we put some honey and some cayenne pepper. This will get your blood going. Literally, if somebody's having a heart attack, just put a bunch of this in their mouth. If you can't find an aspirin, no, honestly. So you put that all into like a mason jar. Sorry, and then you want to pour about half a cup of warm water in there, and you just shake it up really well, and then you sip it, and you try to drink it in about an hour. Now, never drink this on an empty stomach, or it will cause this. A bomb in your stomach. It's very strong, but it's really good for you. It's got all the things that we mentioned earlier. You can actually add more things to it. I'm going to give you a basic recipe of this one, but if you would like to put elderberry syrup in there, like a teaspoon of elderberry syrup, that's great. Turmeric, you can, if you don't have it fresh, this is fresh, you can kind of grate it and put it in there, or you can do a turmeric, like a quarter of a teaspoon of turmeric, and just shake it up and drink it. You can drink it warm, and I think that's very soothing if you have like a sore throat, but you can also drink it cold. The one you guys will drink today is cold. I'm going to give you a little shot of it. Whoever's brave enough to try it, we'll have some samples out in the back, along with some recipes.
I know Robert's brave enough.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
So that's the flu bomb. I also have another one that's very similar, and it's called Rocket Fuel, and I'll give you that recipe as well. Yes. They're all very good. And so, so we'll do that at the end of class, but I think if we're done,
Yeah.
think of anything
Are there any,
else? Yes.
Are there any questions or comments at this time? We're pretty much wrapped up. Yes, any questions or comments that you guys have? Dina, over here.
I was just going to say that kiwi, you mentioned kiwi,
Mm-hmm.
and I read recently that kiwi is amazing for your gut biome.
Ooh.
Drop something in there that's very unusual. I don't remember the name of it, but that kiwi fruit, and we know now that the GI system is a home for your immune system overall. So if you can keep that immune system really strong, with high fiber diet, low sugar like we've been learning, and for some reason kiwi, besides having vitamin C, has something in it that just really boosts that whole prebiotic, I guess, for your immune system.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I love
Yes.
kiwi, so now I'm
Yeah,
excited.
we do a
now,
lot of
have you
kiwis.
guys tried the golden kiwis? I really like the golden kiwis better than the greens, personally. They're just, if you haven't tried, try the golden kiwis.
Rose.
They're wonderful.
Thank you, Dina. Okay. Yes, Rose.
Yeah, I just had a comment on the foot bath.
Yes.
If you add like a quarter cup or maybe 2 tablespoons of Epsom salt,
Oh, yes.
that magnesium in
Oh.
there, that helps you
Helps too.
really.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Very good. Thank you for
Okay,
sharing that.
I like
yes.
that. I think we have Franz over here. You can work your way back.
Thanks.
Yes, Franz.
Yeah, if you guys can go back to that povidone, iodine,
Yes.
the betadine, because you guys went too fast on me on that one.
yeah.
Oh, okay. As far as the mixture?
I think it's 4-1. You said saline too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly-
But I mean, the gargle, I'm confused.
Okay. So basically, two different things.
Oh, okay.
So that's just nasal. So we'll travel with this,
Or do it at home.
okay, and then or do it at home. We have it at home, and then also we'll just take this and pour this like in a little cup mixed with water, and then gargle that as well. So two different things.
Yeah.
If we,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like at the end of the day. It's recommended that you
But it's
actually
betadine, right?
gently blow
Yeah,
your
yeah,
nose
betadine.
at the end of the day. I mean, you've been to work, you've been to the stores, you've been everywhere. So if you could do it every day at the end of the day, you could do it even in the shower. Like, it's just like,
we don't do
a
this all
habit.
year long either. It's just like if we're traveling, if we're around a lot of people, or
Yeah, if you go to
during
a
cold and
crowded-
flu season, probably a good idea. I mean, you can rest a little bit. You don't have to necessarily do it every single
but
day.
you should at least blow your nose every day if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can.
'cause that's
at
where
the end of
things
the day.
start. That's where the whole process
It all
starts.
starts here.
And if you
Even in
stop
the shower,
it
like
there,
I tell my boys, you're in the shower already. Gargle in the shower at least, and just
And blow
flush
your
out your
nose.
nose, blow your nose in there, get stuff out.
I'm sorry, is the same solution 4-1 for gargling too?
that
So
just
do you know?
depends.
Do you know what Dixie cups are?
Yeah.
Usually you use that for mouthwash. So we'll fill about 3/4 of that, and do like 2 to 3 drops of the.
Mostly water.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly water
Yeah,
with a
it's
few
mostly
drops.
water. You just want a little bit of that.
Yes. Yeah, Len.
No one said anything about ginger beer.
Ah,
Ginger
We have a
beer.
ginger beer specialist in here,
do we?
and the ginger beer.
Non-alcoholic, I assume.
Just
Yeah.
drink. Just
It's-
drink
it'll-
ginger tea.
It'll knock everything out, including your eyes. So it's-
Ginger
sure.
beer.
Ginger
okay.
is very, very good.
She's a ginger beer specialist. She's being very modest, but she's right over there, and she won't raise her hand.
Does she make it?
Does she make it?
Wait,
Oh,
she makes
does
it.
she make? And her daughter makes
Could
it
you
too.
share with us?
Okay. Do we need a recipe? Do we need to share a recipe right now?
I'll be sure to talk to her.
Or will you just
afterwards.
sell us some? Okay,
ginger
Joe
is
has a
very
comment. He's been waiting.
So I've also noticed after the hot and cold contrast showers, if you hop into a bed you know you're going to sweat. So unfortunately, you're going to have to probably change those sheets. But if you wrap up in there and let it sweat out for a little bit, that keeps your temperature higher a little longer.
Yes.
And kind of helps boost that shower
Yeah,
effect.
and that's what you should do. If you do a really strong hot and cold, you should go rest. Yes. Okay, we have Ron over here.
Howdy, howdy. I just want to share my favorite aspect about the immune system. This is because some years ago I was into just studying like Navy SEALs and military stuff. And essentially your immune system is that. Your cells, the cells in your immune system is that. They're like elite special forces trained for one thing and one thing only. And my favorite part about it is your lymphatic system. So your lymph nodes. There's like 500 to 600 lymph nodes in your entire body that, have those cells in there. Your B lymphocytes and your T lymphocytes, otherwise known as, they'll call them natural killers. I mean, if you think about that, they're out there looking and searching in your body to kill what does not belong in there. And one of the best ways to get those guys going out there, those forces, is exercise. Exercise will push your bloodstream through those lymph nodes, activate all those special elite forces, and they'll get the job done.
Thank you for
Awesome.
sharing that.
So exercise, very important. I didn't realize that. Okay, we have a couple in the back there. Then we have Dina up here.
So as he's trying to get the mic there, I just wanted to mention something that I didn't mention before. When you're sick too, maybe some of you do this already, but as we said, so it all starts here, right? In your face, your nose, your mouth. When you're sick, try to clean your toothbrush with peroxide. You can put one of those Dixie cups, fill it up with peroxide, and just dip your toothbrush in there and let it sit there and swim all day. Or just toss your toothbrush out and get a new toothbrush. You can go to the dollar store and get some cheap toothbrushes, put it in your cold and flu kit, like I mentioned, and just have it there. Because a lot of times you end up with a sore throat, bacteria. You don't want to keep, brushing your teeth with yucky toothbrush. Yes, who was next?
Okay, is this Esther?
Peppermint is good for your belly too.
Peppermint. Okay.
Peppermint, yes, I love peppermint. Thank you.
Like peppermint ice cream, right?
That's my favorite.
That's my wife's favorite ice cream.
I just wanted to ask Ron, does that mean we all have to sign up for a marathon to exercise, right?
Yeah, he's promoting a marathon.
Maybe Dr. Guthrie could address what does that look like? How can we keep those good guys going? What type of exercise and for how long? Just kind of like a general principle, if you could share with us.
Okay. You ready for that one?
He wasn't ready for that.
Okay, so
But
basically,
at least exercise every day if
we
you
were
can.
told about exercise, how it boosts your immune system. And Raluca was saying, can you give us more advice on duration, how long, frequent?
The present recommendations, about 150 minutes a week spread out over time, 20 minutes a day with kind of regular exercise. Moderate exercise tends to be beneficial, helps build new cells, helps strengthen the immune system. Running a marathon tends to suppress your immune system, so somewhere between moderate and severe is not so good for you. You get a lot of benefit from going from sedentary to active. You get much less benefit, although it's improvement, from going from there to heavier exercise. And the heaviest exercise, of course, there's some evidence that may increase the risk of cancer because of its suppression of the immune system. So moderate is the place to go.
Okay.
Wow, thank you.
Temperance,
20 minutes
right?
a day.
Even with exercise.
20 minutes a day, okay.
Amazing.
Speaking of exercise, my wife walks a mile every morning.
Wow.
She takes me along too. So.
Okay, good. You take him for a
that's
walk.
a good thing. That's a good
That's
thing.
good,
Len.
Chris.
Miss Dina here.
It's good to take your husband out for a walk.
I just have a question about your hot and cold showers, because I find that to be the most challenging thing I do every day for my health. And do you go back and forth several times, or do you think just ending with one blast of cold?
Okay, so I'm a little different than my wife. She'll probably go back and forth hot and cold several times every day. I will just end on cold typically. I'll go really hot and then end on cold. Now, if I'm feeling something, if you're starting to feel a little tickle in your throat, or if you're around some people that had some type of bug, then I would go back and forth 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's the full contrast shower, usually 3 times, and then you end on cold.
Yeah, if you could just do it once, just end on cold once. You don't have to do the 3 intervals.
Unless you're feeling
Unless you're
something.
already like sick, yeah.
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 Oh,
Just
Danella.
just a word on the exercising. So high intensity interval training is what's recommended for boosting the immunity and also for increasing metabolism. So that's something that I also learned. You can do that 20, 30 minutes. You can look on YouTube for some exercise routines, but HIIT training or HIIT exercises are really good for boosting the immunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Okay, we have Rose here, and then I think we're about to wrap up. We've been here about an hour.
We don't want
Go ahead,
your
Rose.
stomachs to get empty before you try the
France?
flu bomb, guys.
Okay. Yeah, you, just by coming, you are giving a parting gift as you leave. And so make sure that you do not leave without your shot of flu bomb.
Yes.
Yes, Rose.
Yes. Have any of you guys heard about rebounding?
Yes.
That it builds the
Lymphatic
lymphatic
system, yes.
Right.
Oh,
And
like
so
a little trampoline.
those
Yes.
little trampolines.
Oh,
And
Very good.
You don't have to be an expert jumping,
Yeah.
just a tap
Yeah.
on that,
That
rebounding for
gets things
like
moving
5
around.
minutes.
Things moving,
Just
yeah.
get things moving around.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Good. Okay, we've got Franz and Jason.
Jason.
Oh, and Dr.
And
Mills here.
Mills, yes.
No, just real quick on the hot and cold showers. I mean, I started doing that, I'd say it's almost been a year. It's become a habit. So it's not just doing the hot and cold when you're starting to think, flu season, but if you do it every day, it becomes habitual. I used to die when the cold would get, but
Yeah,
now it's
it feels
normal.
good, yeah.
Now
Feels
it's
good,
just,
right?
well, here it comes, here it goes.
Right,
And it's helped me tremendously.
right. Yes, Dr. Mills here.
With the trampoline, if you do have back problems, you do have to be careful on that.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Gravity. Okay, we got Jason, then we'll come back to Gwen. Oh, okay, Jason. Wow, interesting. Okay. All right, we have Gwen back here. You got it. Okay. All right, guys.
So I'm going to end on a little quote here for one of my favorite authors for you, and then I have an announcement after that. She says in this book, "Make use of the remedies that God has provided. Pure air, sunshine, and the intelligent use of water are beneficial agents in the restoration of health. But the use of water is considered too laborious. It is easier to employ drugs than to use natural remedies." And this reminds me of kind of like what Dr. Guthrie said. You get a fever, right? You want to hurry up and just grab that Tylenol. But try the water therapy first and see. Because we want to get to the root of the problem. We don't want to just mask or put a Band-Aid, right, on our illnesses. So I thought that was a really neat quote there. One thing I want to ask is if you are new to our church, or this is the first time you come to one of our presentations and you would like to come and to other presentations, I would ask if you could give us your email and maybe phone number. We're going to have a little clipboard out there on the table next to your flu shot. So as you grab your flu shot, if we don't have your
Flu bomb.
not flu shot.
Careful,
Oh my word.
careful,
No,
careful.
not the flu shot. We are not giving shots.
We're not
here.
going to go there right now, guys. We're not going there.
Flu shots. I was right. Yeah, flu shot. Anyways, you guys know what I meant.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, it'll be back there, guys. So please
And then,
leave that information with us.
And then we also have a flyer for an upcoming event.
I don't have a flyer for an upcoming event, but our next event is October 13th, 14th, and 15th. So please, that's why we need your information if we don't have it already, so that we can give that information to you.
All right.
We're going to end with prayer, if that's okay, and ask Dr. Guthrie if he would
Yes. One more.
do
One
that
more,
for
and
us.
then we're done.
Thank you so much, by the way, Dr. Guthrie, for...
Father in heaven, we are thankful that you have made our bodies in such a marvelous way.
Amen.
and that they heal themselves if we treat it right. Thank you for the clues we've been given, reminded of this afternoon. And we continue to thank you for the healing that you have built in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. And Miss Sylvie will be right out there to give you guys the handouts as well as the little flu bomb.
Oh, go. Yeah, go. You guys go.
I almost started rolling my sleeve up when she kept saying, I was like, nah, I shouldn't go there. Yeah. It's funny though.